Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Nice to hear you all. See, where I'm also not seeing because I'm sitting in the half dark room. Since if I switch light, the small flies they come somehow through the mosquito nets and they go on the light bulbs, and then I have to clean it. So I keep it with the night light, but then I'm not visible at the camera. Anyway, so I just want to quickly summarize what we were doing last time. We are, if you remember, we are in the 8th chapter where Lord Nrsimhadev appears. That's the title of the chapter. Of the chapter, Lord Nrsimhadev slays the king of the demons. So last class we did this section approximately from 14 to 22. We stopped at 23, I think. So in this section, the Lord Nrsimhadev appears, and here you see 14 to 17. It was when Hiranyakashipu strike the fist against the pillar, and then Lord jumped off of the pillar to prove the words of Prahlad Maharaj. And then in next few shlokas, Hiranyakashipu, he is completely astonished and he is examining who is this creature that appeared before him. Is it a lion? Is it a man? Or what is it? He couldn't just figure out. But he didn't recognize it was Lord Vishnu who killed him previous lifetime. And that's why this is one of the reasons why being killed by Lord Nrsimhadev, he didn't attain liberation because he thought that the form of the Lord is just some jiva who by some pious activities from previous life attained that amazing form. But he thought that he's equally powerful and then he can match it and fight it. So this was last time, and we stopped at the shloka 23 exactly where they start fighting. So we will continue reading. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayana Namaskritam Narachaiva Narottam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jyamudirayat, Om Jnana Mirandasya Jnanandjana Shubhak Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Shri Gurave Namaha. So I'll start 823. Pranamiyam Harinorumaina Bhadas Mrittonena Samudyathena Kim. Evam Bruvam Svabhyapatad Kada Yudho Nadan Risimham Prati Daitya Kunjara. Kunjara, Daitya Kunjara. See, Hiranyakashipu was like a Kunjara, elephant. Translation. Hiranyakashipu murmured to himself, Lord Vishnu, who possesses great mystic power, has made this plan to kill me. But what is the use of such an attempt? Who can fight with me? Thinking like this and taking up his club, Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord like an elephant. So he was thinking that Lord Vishnu sent this creature in the form of half man, half lion in front of him with a plan to kill him, but he didn't recognize it was Lord Vishnu himself. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the jungle, there are sometimes fights between lions and elephants. Here the Lord appeared like a lion, and Hiranyakashipu, unafraid of the Lord, attacked him like an elephant. Generally, elephant is defeated by the lion, and therefore the comparison in this verse is appropriate. So Hiranyakashipu is an elephant who attacked lion like Lord Nrsimhadev. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. Seeing that astonishing form, he thought and then spoke as follows. The Lord has thought of killing me by this form. Smrta means that the Lord wanted to do this and now has taken practical steps by remembering again. What is the use of this attempt by the Lord? It has not use at all, since it cannot overcome my strength. It's interesting here, the Vishnu Thakur, he's using the word the Lord because it's Lord for us, for devotees. But Hiranyakashipu didn't really think about Lord Vishnu as the Lord, as the master to whom everybody should surrender as the supreme Ishvara in the universe. If he thought of him, of the Lord, he would have surrendered. If you think of one person as the supreme in the universe and that there is nobody else higher than him, then naturally you want to submit to him, you want to surrender to him, you want to serve him. So Hiranyakashipu was not thinking of the Lord Vishnu as the Lord. He was thinking him as one of the devatas, one of the demigods, the chief of the demigods, and they're like a clan that is against him, against the daityas, against his own race. So Vishnu is the leader of these devatas who want to kill him. But he never thought that actually he is the creator of both devatas and daityas, the demons and the demigods, that he is the father of all and that he is the supreme Ishwar, supreme controller. He never thought of Lord Vishnu in those terms, and that's why he thought he can contest him, he can fight him, and eventually kill him. All right, so this is the jungle, and yeah, I don't know if you ever seen on a video fight of elephant and the lion. It's a quite gruesome fight. I think I saw it once. Elephant is much bigger, but still, the lion has sharp teeth that and generally it manages to kill the elephant, but not always. Sometimes elephant can just trample the lion. So it's a fight of two animals who are equal strength, with the slight advantage given to lion. All right, so if anybody would like to read Dhanashri Mataji, to continue reading, if you're there.
Yes, Prabhu, I am here. Okay.
Please.
Text 1024. Alakshito Gno Patya Patangamo Yatani Shrimao Jasi Surastada Natat Vichitram Kalu Satwa Damani Swatajasa Yunu Rapibatamaha. Just as a small insect falls forcefully into a fire and the insignificant creature becomes invisible, when Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord, who was full of effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible. This is not at all astonishing, for the Lord is always situated in pure goodness. Formerly, during creation, he entered the dark universe and illuminated it by his spiritual effulgence. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord is situated transcendently in pure goodness. The material world is generally controlled by tamoguna, the quality of ignorance. But the spiritual world, because of the presence of the Lord and his effulgence, is free from all contamination by darkness, passion, and contaminated goodness. Although there is a tinge of passion or although there is the tinge of goodness in this material world in terms of Brahminical qualifications, such qualifications sometimes become invisible because of the strong prevalence of the modes of passion and ignorance. But because the Lord is always transcendentally situated, the material modes of passion and ignorance cannot touch him. Whenever the Lord is present, there cannot be any darkness from the modes of ignorance. It is stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22.31, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Aya Andakara Yahan Krishna Tahan Nahi Mahara Adhikara. Goodness is light.
Godhead.
Godhead. Okay, excuse me. Godhead is light. Nescience is darkness. Where there is Godhead, there is no nescience. This material world is full of darkness and ignorance of spiritual life, but by Bhakti Yoga, this ignorance is dissipated. The Lord appeared because of the Bhakti Yoga exhibited by Prahlad Maharaj, and as soon as the Lord appeared, the influence of Hiranyakashipu's passion and ignorance of the Brahman effulgence become prominent. In that prominent effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible, or his influence became insignificant. An example illustrating how the darkness of the material world is vanquished is given in the Shastra. When Brahma was created from the lotus stem, going from the abdomen of Garbhodakasai Vishnu, Lord Brahma saw everything to be dark, but when he received knowledge from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything became clear everything becomes clear when one comes from night to sunshine. The important point is that as long as we are in the material modes of nature, we are always in darkness. This darkness cannot be dissipated without the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is invoked by the practice of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga creates a transcendental situation with no tinges of material contamination. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, entering the effulgence of the Lord, he disappeared. This is not surprising for the Lord who is light, Dhamani, or Sudha, Sattva, in which one can see no darkness, because previously, at the time of creation, after dissolution of the universe, he destroyed the darkness by forming Mahatattva, which glows. What then to speak of this direct form of this time, at this time?
Okay, so this is the famous verse. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hoy Andakar, Jahan Krishna Tahan Nahi Mayar Adhikar. So Krishna Surya Sam, Krishna is like a sun. He's compared to Surya. He's same as Surya. And Maya Hoy Andakar, and Maya is compared to darkness. So Jahan Krishna Tahan Nahi. Wherever there is a Krishna, Maya has no cannot come there to that place. Nahi Maya Adhikar. Maya has no place in the presence of Krishna. So that means one who is fully Krishna conscious. It means one who has Krishna present in his mind and heart. For him, there is no Maya, there is no darkness. Because if you carry Krishna in your heart, how can Maya enter? Maya cannot enter where the Krishna is present. So the best way to keep Maya at bay is to always remember Krishna and never forget him. And this is only possible in the pure mode of goodness, in Shuddha Sattva. As long as we are under the influence of lower modes, Tamoguna, Rajaguna, it's difficult. It's very difficult to remember Krishna, and it's very difficult even to practice bhakti, yoga. Although, the bhakti yoga in lower modes is also, done by those devotees who are under the influence of lower modes, but it's not the highest form of devotional service. One has to progress. That means he needs to elevate himself to the mode of goodness first, and then to pure goodness, to Shuddha Sattva. Yeah, practicing devotional service under the influence of Tama and Raja Guna is it's has gives no pleasure. It's difficult. It's troublesome. You want to get up in the morning, but Tamaguna is pulling you, and you don't get up, and you sleep, and things like this. These modes, lower modes, they're pulling us in the opposite direction from direction we are supposed to go. So somehow or other, we need to elevate ourselves to goodness first, because then in the mode of goodness, it's much easier. Everything goes much smoother. Okay, anybody has anything in this regard? Yes, Hiranyakashipu became invisible in the presence of the Lord because the Lord was so effulgent. So if you put some, small candle in front of something that is much more effulgent, like a sun, it's insignificant. It's invisible. So Hiranyakashipu was similarly invisible next to the Lord. Okay, so 25. Subhadra Mataji, would you like to continue?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Tato abhipadyabhyahanam mahasuro rusan nrisimham gadayoruvegaya tam vikramantam sagadam gadadharo mahoragam tarksya suto yatha grahit. Translation. Thereafter, the great demon Hiranyakashipu, who was extremely angry, swiftly attacked Nrsimhadev with his club and began to beat him. Lord Nrsimhadev, however, captured the great demon along with his club, just as Garuda might capture a great snake. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Then separating himself from the effulgence, he came before the form and struck it with his club.
One more, please, because there's no purpose.
Satasya hasto kalitastada vikridato yadvat ahirgarutmata asadva amanyantarito kasho amara Ghana Chadar Bharata Sarvadishniyapaha. O Yudhishthir, O great son of Bharat, when Lord Nrsimhadev gave Hiranyakashipu a chance to slip from his hand, just as Garuda sometimes plays with a snake and lets it slip from his mouth, the demigods who has lost their abodes and who were hiding behind the clouds for fear of the demon did not consider that incident very good. Indeed, they were perturbed. Purport. When Hiranyakashipu was in the process of being killed by Lord Nrsimhadev, the Lord gave the demon a chance to slip from his clutches. This incident was not very much appreciated by the demigods, for they were greatly afraid of Hiranyakashipu. They knew that if somehow or other Hiranyakashipu escaped from Nrsimhadev's hand and saw that the demigods were looking forward to his death with great pleasure, he would take great revenge upon them. Therefore, they were very much afraid. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The demon slipped from his hands. The devatas were hidden by clouds, fearing the anger of the demon, who would think they want to see me me die. Without homes, they thought that it was unfortunate that the demon had escaped from the hands of the Lord. He has taken our homes. Now, if he lives, he will take our lives.
So yeah, the demigods, they got afraid when the Hiranyakashipu escaped. What does it indicate? It indicates that they had no full faith that Lord Nrsimhadev is the Lord who has, great power, and there is no reason to be afraid, even if the Hiranyakashipu slipped out of his hand. It reminds me that Kalia pastime, killing of Kalia in Krishna Lila, when all the residents of Vrindavan, they're standing on the bank of Yamuna and they're watching how Krishna is enveloped with the Kalia's hoods and is kind of fighting, and Kalia is trying to, suffocate him. And everybody is very, very much afraid and anguished. They're almost dying out of sadness. They don't know what to do. And then Lord Balaram, when he comes, he sees Krishna there, and he knows, well, my brother is Supreme Lord. What can this snake do to him? So he was not afraid. He understood. He knew Krishna's power. So he immediately, stopped the Rajvasis who wanted to enter Yamuna and to try to save Krishna. He immediately stopped them from drowning in Yamuna because he knew Krishna's power, and he knew even if at the moment it appears that Krishna is struggling and that Kali has advantage, very soon Krishna will get out of his clutches and defeat him. So similarly here, if the demigods, if they had, full faith that this form that appeared in the form of half man, half lion is supreme Lord, they would not be afraid. They would understand that he's just playing with the demon, like a cat is playing with a mouse. Sometimes mouse escapes, sometimes cat catches the mouse and then let him go and then catch him again. So the Lord is playing here with the Hiranyakashipu, like a cat is playing with a mouse. But this was the first time the demigods, or ever, it was first time that they saw this form, so they were not sure who it is. Is it the Lord or somebody else, or who is it? And they just wanted to see Hiranyakashipu defeated, but they were not very much convinced whether this will happen or not. Okay, so look at 27. Who's next? Gunaraj Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Tam manyamano nijavirya sankitam yaddashtamukto narharim magasuraha punastam asajita kaggacharmani pragriya vejena gatas shramo murde. Translation. When Hiranyakashipu was freed from the hands of Narasimhadeva, he falsely thought that the Lord was afraid of his prowess. Therefore, after taking a little rest from the fight, he took up his sword and shield and again attacked the Lord with great force. When a sinful man enjoys material facilities, foolish people sometimes think, how is it that this sinful man is enjoying, whereas a pious man is suffering? By the will of the Supreme, a sinful man is sometimes given the chance to enjoy the material world as if he were not under the clutches of material nature, just so that he may be fooled. A sinful man who acts against the laws of the nature must be punished, but sometimes he is given a chance to play exactly like Hiranyakashipu when he was released from the hands of Narasimhadeva. Hiranyakashipu was destined to be ultimately killed by Narasimhadeva, but just to see the fun, the Lord gave him a chance to slip from his hands. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura comments, thinking that the Lord was afraid of his prowess because yet he got free from the Lord's hands, he again attacked.
The Prabhupada here mentions this point that sinful man is given chance sometimes to enjoy. And we see many, rich men, celebrities, famous men who are enjoying. They have a lot of money. They have, mansions, ships, airplanes, 20 houses and villas. But they're sinful. They're doing sinful activities. They're not well wishers of everybody. Although sometimes they present themselves as philanthropists, but actually they're just exploiting others. So you think, well, how come this man is completely, has a demoniac mentality, is atheistic, he's committing all sorts of sinful activities, and he has given such facilities for sense gratification. So where is the justice? But we should be assured that just at the moment he has these facilities, but because of some pious acts that he did in the past, but because now in this life he's spending all his sukriti, in the next life he'll become an animal or who knows what. He might end up in hell. So just for a few years here, he is given to enjoy. But then again, he will be captured by the material nature, Maya, and Maya will punish him very severely. And on the other hand, you can see some poor man who can hardly, make his needs, who can hardly earn enough to live. But if he is pious, if he's, doing some pious activities, or even better, if he's doing devotional activities, then very soon he'll be promoted in spite of momentarily being poor and disadvantaged. So we should never judge on the basis of circumstances at this moment. The circumstances now are just temporary, and very soon they can change into something else. Today one can be a king or very powerful man. Already tomorrow something can happen, and he can be in the dust on the ground. So we should not envy anybody who at the moment is in some position, because even in this life it happens that somebody goes very high, and then something happens like some scandal, and he loses all his position, all his wealth, or his life. He can lose his life also, and then everything is lost when he loses his life, and then the next life is not very certain. Okay, 28, Shantirupa Mataji, please.
Yes, Prabhu. Tam shena vegam shatachandra vartmabesh charantam achitram nupariado hari kritvatya hasam haram utsvanolbanam nimilitaksham jakrihe mahajavaha. Translation. Making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, who is extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakashipu, who was protecting himself with his sword and shield, leaving no gaps open. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakashipu moved sometimes in the sky and sometimes on the earth. His eyes closed because of fear and Nrsimhadev's laughter. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Shatachandra Vatmabhi means by the use of his shield and sword, the demon had closed his eyes out of fear from the loud laughter.
And one more, please.
Yes. Vishwaksfurantam grahanaaturam harir valo yathakam kulishakshataptvacham dvari urum apatya dadara leelaya nakhairyatahim gadudo mahavisham. Translation. As a snake captures a mouse or Garuda captures a very venomous snake, Lord Nrsimhadev captured Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. As Hiranyakashipu moved his limbs here, there, and all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Nrsimhadev placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thighs, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hand. Purport. Hiranyakashipu had received from Lord Brahma the benediction that he would not die on the land or in the sky. Therefore, to keep the promise of Lord Brahma intact, Nrsimhadev placed Hiranyakashipu's body on his lap, which was neither land nor sky. Hiranyakashipu had received the benediction that he would not die either during the day or at night. Therefore, to keep this promise of Brahma, the Lord killed Hiranyakashipu in the evening, which is the end of the day and the beginning of night, but is neither day nor night. Hiranyakashipu had taken a benediction from Lord Brahma that he would not die from any weapon to be killed by any person, dead or alive. Therefore, just to keep the word of Lord Brahma, Lord Nrsimhadev pierced Hiranyakashipu's body with his nails, which were not weapons and were neither living nor dead. Indeed, the nails can be called dead, but at the same time they can be said to be alive. To keep intact all of Lord Brahma's benedictions, Lord Nrsimhadev paradoxically but very easily killed the great demon Hiranyakashipu. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, he captured the demon just as a snake captures a mouse. Without paying attention, Leelaya, he pierced his body, though his skin would not be injured by an axe, just as Garuda pierces a snake. He pierced him at the door, which was not in the assembly hall nor outside. He placed him on his lap, a place which was neither on the ground nor in the sky. He pierced him by his nails, which were neither living nor dead. Also, he killed him during the twilight, which was neither day nor night.
So the interesting here, Hiranyakashipu's skin could not be injured by an axe. It means that he was so strong that if you would take axe and try to hurt him, you wouldn't be able to harm him at least. But with his nails, Lord Nrsimhadev easily open his abdomen. It's interesting here that the Lord did all these things like killing him at the twilight on his lap and other things just to keep the word of Lord Brahma. So demigods, they can give blessings only because the Lord is empowering them and giving them giving them the power to give those blessings. Otherwise, if the Lord's power wouldn't be behind them, then their words would would not have any meaning. So here the Lord, he is trying very hard to keep the word of Lord Brahma. That's why he's, killing Hiranyakashipu, in order to fulfill all these different conditions and not to break the blessings of Lord Brahma. And he wants to keep these blessings because, demigods like Lord Brahma, they are his devotees. So he wants to keep their word intact. And in this way, the universal order will also be intact. It's said that Brahmanas, words, the one who is true Brahmana, their words, whatever he says becomes truth. Why is that? Because the Lord will make it true, because he's so satisfied with those who develop Brahminical qualities. So that's why the Brahmanas, they, at least in previous ages, they had the power to give blessings. They just say Tatastu, and whatever he gives blessings, it becomes reality. Okay, is there anything else here? If not, Chatura Mataji, would you like to read, please?
Okay. Text. So, Srimad Bhagavatam 7.8:30. Sanramba dus pray Shakarat la lochano Vyatananam tam Vilihanswa Jivaya Ashlava Taruna Kesharanalo Yata Chamani Dvipa Patyaya Parihi. Translation. Lord Nrsimhadeva's mouth and mane were sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes, full of anger, were impossible to look at. Linking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nrsimhadev, decorated with a garland of intestines taken from Hiranyakasipu's adornment, resembled a lion that he has just killed an elephant. Purport. The hair on Lord Nrsimhadev's face, being sprinkled with drops of blood, was reddish and looked very beautiful. Lord Nrsimhadev pierced Hiranyakasipu's abdomen with his nails, pulled out the demon's intestines, and wore them as a garland, which enhanced his beauty. Thus the Lord became very fearsome, like a lion engaged in fighting an elephant. She Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, his face was stained with drops of blood. Thus his mane and face were red. He wore his intestines as a garland. The Lord was like a lion on killing an elephant.
So here the Lord's beauty is described. Generally, if you or me would decorate ourselves with the intestines of some animal, it would not really look very beautiful. But whatever the Lord does is always beautiful. So even if he decorates himself with the demon's intestines as a garland, because he's supremely beautiful, everything is enhancing his beauty. So even the intestines will increase his beauty. In the Battle of Kurukshetra, when Krishna was directing Arjuna's chariot, sometimes he would be, pierced by arrow of Bhishma, and then some small drops of blood would appear, and they would enhance the Lord's beauty. Yeah, what else here? Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue. The Lord, at this moment, he's very, very, very angry. He just killed Nisimadev, so he has Ugra form. His anger is at the peak. So everybody is now afraid to approach him. The devotees who are watching the fight, they will send Prahlad Maharaj because they're so much afraid. Okay, I'll read the next. Nakhan kurot patita harit saroruham vistrejitasyanucharan udayudhan han samasthan nakashastra panibir dordhandayuto nupathan sahasrasha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had many, many arms, first uprooted Hiranyakashipu's heart and then threw him aside and turned toward the demon's soldiers. These soldiers had come in thousands to fight with him with raised weapons and were very faithful followers of Hiranyakashipu. But Lord Nrsimhadev killed all of them merely with the ends of his nails. Purport: since the creation of the material world, there have been two kinds of men, the Devas and the Asuras. The Devas always faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the Asuras always atheists who defy the supremacy of the Lord. At the present moment, throughout the entire world, the atheists are extremely numerous. They are trying to prove there is no God and that everything takes place due to combinations and permutations of material elements. Thus, the material world is becoming more and more godless, and consequently, everything is in disturbed condition. If this continues, Supreme Personality of Godhead will certainly take action, as he did in the case of Hiranyakashipu. Within a second, Hiranyakashipu and his followers were destroyed, and similarly, if this godless civilization continues, it will be destroyed in a second, simply by the movement of one finger of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demons should therefore be careful and curtail the godless civilization. They should take advantage of the Krishna consciousness movement and become faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, they are doomed. As Hiranyakashipu was killed in a second, the godless civilization can be destroyed at any moment. So Srila Prabhupada is warning us here that, and it was 50 years ago when he was warning like this about imminent destruction of godless civilization if it continues in this direction. And now we are 50 years later, and we can testify that civilization became even more godless. It degraded much more than it was in the 1970s when Prabhupada was here with us. The things that were unimaginable in those days are now, common things that are accepted uh, everywhere. Like, you have examples of two men raising a baby in a sort of a marriage, or another sort of unimaginable things that were not present in Prabhupada's times. Well, but yeah, we can say that also Krishna consciousness movement expanded, that devotees did some preaching, but still comparatively to the population of the world, still we are quite insignificant as devotees. If you compare the number of devotees in the world, how many uh, people we have on the earth today, around 8 billion. How many of those are devotees? Even if we can count 1, 2, 3 million of devotees, this is still very insignificant compared to 8 billion people on the earth. Still, the books have been distributed and they're lying there in people's homes, waiting for them to be read. So there is a hope. So whether the civilization will be completely destroyed or not, we are going to see. But some destruction has to be there. How big it will be, we have to see. And Vishnu Thakur, I didn't read this. Hiranyakashipu's lotus heart was uprooted by the buds of the Lord's nails. I was living happily in his heart, but how did this unfortunate person make anger and hatred live live there as well? He pulled out his heart as if to inspect it. He used the buds of his nails in order not to damage the lotus of his heart. The Lord had groups of arms. Anupathan means followers. So it's interesting here that Vishnu Thakur is comparing, he's saying lotus heart. Why is it lotus? Because Lord was living in that lotus as Paramatma. And now Lord was examining his heart like a surgeon, like a doctor. But the problem with the Hiranyakashipu's heart was that anger and hatred were there, and that's why it became contaminated. If the anger and hatred and other negative emotions enter our heart, then the Lord will not want to reside there. He cannot reside in any place where these bad qualities are present. He wants to reside only in the pure heart and mind, are devoid of lust, of kama, krodha, bhaya, and other negative emotions. So that's why we should cleanse our heart, and chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is meant to clean the mirror of the heart, Chetu Darpana Marjanam, in order for the Lord to enter the heart. Okay, 2. Should we go one more round on Sri Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Satavaduta Jaladar Parapatan Grascha Tadrishti Vimusta Ushisaha Ambodaya Swasa Ata Vichu Subu Nirada Bita Dijiba Vichu Krusu. The hair of Nishimadev's head shook the cloud and scattered them here and there. His glaring eyes stole the effulgence of the luminaries in the sky, and his breathing agitated the seas and oceans. Because of his roaring, all the elephants in the world began to cry in fear. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Yad Yad Vibhutimat Satwam Shrimad Ujitam Evava Tad Evava Gacha Twam Mama Tejo Isa Sambhavan. Know that all beautiful, glorious, and mighty creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. The illumination of the planets and stars in the sky is but a partial manifestation of the Lord's effulgence. There are many wonderful qualities of different living entities, but whatever extraordinary things exist are but part of the Lord's tejas, his illumination or brilliance. The deep waves of the seas and oceans and the many other wonders within the creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead all become insignificant when the Lord, in his special feature, incarnates within this material world. Everything is insignificant in comparison to his personal, all-defeating, transcendental qualities. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, this describes how he afflicted the enemy.
So here we have some comparisons of the Lord with the wonders of nature. Have you ever admired the beauty of nature? If you went to some very nice place where there's not many people and no garbage and pure mountain water is there and the trees and the sky. It's so sattvic and beautiful. Or you look at the sky full of stars. The pious man, immediately when he sees such natural beauties, he remembers the Lord. He knows that behind all this beauty, there must be a creator. It cannot just be something created by chance. Such beauty cannot be created by chance, by some big bang. But those who are envious, who have demoniac nature, who are atheists, they will say, "Oh, this just happened, but by accident. There is nobody behind this natural beauty. So this is their misfortune. They don't accept the creator behind the beauty. But it just doesn't make any sense. If you look at some beautiful painting, for example, hanging in some gallery, anybody who has little intelligence, even a child, they will conclude that there must be a painter who painted this beautiful painting. It's not that they're just the colors they assembled themselves and splashed on a wall, and now you have this beautiful painting. No, there must be some intelligence behind, somebody who put all these colors in their place in order to create this painting. So proposal that there is no creator, is a foolish proposal, actually. Everybody with a little intelligence and little piety will conclude that there must be a supreme creator just by looking at the wonders of nature. But of course, all this beauty and wonders of nature, they are insignificant in comparison to beauty of the Lord's personal form. So when he appears, all other beauties, they become insignificant comparing to the beauty of his form. Beauty of nature. Somebody can be attached to it. It could be also material attachment if we are attached to the nature. Somehow in India, we cannot be much attached because it's very difficult to find a peaceful spot anywhere, because everywhere you go, you find so many people everywhere. It's difficult to find a peaceful spot in the nature. India has 1.5 billion people, and the density of population is high. But still, I guess if you go to Himalayas, you might be able to find some peaceful spots here and there. All right, 33.
Prabhu?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhu, I have one question.
please.
Just now we talk about the purpose of 31, and
So sorry, I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear. What did you say in purport?
yeah, the purpose of 31, it is said that godless civilization increase nowadays, even more than the days when Srila Prabhupada was in this world.
Yeah.
So how to understand that in the previous days, Srila Prabhupada founded this ISKCON, but there are not so many devotees. But now ISKCON increased devotees. Also, this godless civilization increase.
Yeah, I get it. What you're asking.
Yeah,
How is it that civilization is degrading more and more, although
yeah,
the number of devotees in the world is increasing? Well, the thing is that number of devotees is still quite insignificant, and ISKCON, if you put it together with the other religious institutions, you will see the ISKCON is also very insignificant comparing to, Christian, Catholic Church, Orthodox Church, the Jews, the Islam, the other world religions, ISKCON and other organizations like Gaudiya Math, other Gaudiya Vaishnava organizations. If you put it all together, how many people are there? It's still very insignificant comparing to the total world population. And most
yeah.
of these people, they're doing, who are not devotees, they're doing sinful activities, and these sinful activities, they are creating chaos in the world civilization. So civilization is just sliding down more and more, and we are just not able to prevent it because our influence is insignificant, because we are so small, comparatively speaking. We can change somebody's, individual life. We give them a book, and if they become a devotee, their life is changed. Even if they don't become a devotee, they give donation, they made Sanskrit, but we cannot change the course of civilization, which is going down the hill. It's just going down the hill, and the only way to stop it is to crash. That civilization has to crash first, and then we as devotees might have a chance for some, revival of better civilization. But the moment
Yeah, well,
yeah,
very good. So that is the arise another problem, another question.
mhm.
Nowadays the world situation is so bad, and it seems like a world war seems like to break a world war. So how can we understand this world chant?
How can we understand the world? What?
Chant. That means this was circumstances.
Oh, if the war happens, how can we understand that?
Yeah, because you see the how to say uh, the Korean country may have a war with
Yeah, the war has to be there. It will be Korea, North Korea, and China, and Russia, and America, and NATO. All these countries, they're gearing for war. And according to some astrologers, it is going to happen 2029 to 2031. So basically, we have 5 years until until the hell unleashes. And
oh
but I cannot guarantee this is going to happen. These are just some predictions. And when
oh
we see and when we see the situation nowadays, it looks like it's going in that direction, and the miracle would need to happen to stop it. Uh, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it is going in that direction with a certain purpose. Why Lord is allowing? Because the civilization, this modern civilization, came to the edge of something that is considered, normal. All the moral and all everything that was considered, moral and truthful in the past in more traditional societies now has been thrown out of the window. What people are doing, they're behaving completely like animals. The,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
the families are destroyed, and it's just became very, very degraded. So the war has to be there to stop this. Everything has to be destroyed, that you can start from the scratch, that you can start building a new civilization from the beginning. But first, the old civilization has to be destroyed, and the war
Yeah,
has
yeah,
purpose. You can ask
yeah.
why in Kurukshetra, so many people died, because they were just burden of the earth. They were burdening the earth, and Krishna, he came with the purpose of killing them in order to relieve the earth from the burden. So similarly, present day civilization is a burden, and it's an obstacle. It's even obstacle for spreading the Krishna consciousness. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something has to happen to break it. So we hope as devotees to survive, but even if we don't survive, I mean, we are the soul and we are eternal, and even if we change the bodies, there is no harm. Of course, we might
Oh,
forget. We might forget. So it's better to become perfect in this lifetime now, and we don't have much time. Yeah, if there is a nuclear war, then billions could die, from radiation, but it
yeah,
might not
yeah, yeah.
happen. It might not happen to be a nuclear war. It could be just conventional war also. But then again,
Yeah.
hundreds of millions can die. So it depends all individual karma. But we as devotees, we have faith that Krishna will protect us. Whether he protects the body or not, it doesn't really matter. But definitely he will protect the soul, and we will get a chance. Even if we have not completed our spiritual life, we will get a chance to continue it in the next life.
Yeah, you say just now the some predict 2020 what year? Which year?
Well, this was not just one astrologer. Few of them who know Jyotish very well, and they all see. I mean, I could also see that planets at the end of 2028 already, they're aligning in such a way, in such bad positions that it looks like planetary positions at the Kurukshetra war. Basically, somebody compared to the Kurukshetra, the planetary positions we will have in 4 or 5 years, they will look similarly at the planetary positions at the time of Kurukshetra war. That means that
Oh,
some big disasters are going to happen.
yeah,
Whether it
yeah.
will be exactly the war or this or that, we cannot know the details just by looking at the planets. But something
Mm,
bad is going to happen on a global level.
yeah,
So
yeah.
whether it can be stopped or not, Lord can do everything. He can
Mm,
stop if he wants to stop. But why he would want to stop if the civilization is just going further away from him?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he might want to actually destroy it. It might be actually his plan to destroy the present civilization because it just became unmanageable. It became so bad that the only
Mm,
way is to destroy it and start
yeah,
new civilization from the beginning.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So let's see. Anyway, we should be ready spiritually and materially for 5 years. Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
So,
I
Papu, please tell us how to prepare this.
yeah, you cannot prepare much than trying to become as much as Krishna conscious as possible. Of
Yeah.
course, if you have means, if you have a land and you can, cultivate plants and grains there and this and that. But for the most of us, it's just it's not going to work. If I tell you now, just go away from the city, buy a piece of land, and start cultivating the land and prepare for the doomsday. How many of us can do it? First, you need to have money, and then even there, uh, how can you actually cultivate the land alone?
Yeah.
It is difficult, but if somebody has the opportunity, at least small garden, you can have or try to have it. But if you don't have many, just don't have the means. So to scare them and tell them, just go and abandon everything in the city and go to the countryside and grow your own food. It sounds good in theory, but in practice, how many of us can actually, apply it in a practice? First, you need to have a land first, and then you need to know how to grow the food. And there's so many difficulties there also.
Mm.
So the only thing we can do, yeah, I mean, if you have savings, for example, and the banks are going to collapse and this and that, some people are buying gold, for example. But then again, if you have a physical gold, then you'll be afraid if somebody steals the gold, and so many things are there. So it's called how it's called, the preppers. They call it. They're those who are preppers, who are preparing for the doomsday, and they are doing all sort of things. There's some,
Mm.
rich people, some millionaires who are building, the atomic shelters under the ground, and they're building the huge wall around to protect themselves. Because if the disaster happens, even if you have a land and you have a small house there, what do you think? What other people who are hungry around you going to do? They're going to come and attack your land and take whatever you have. So you need to be ready also to protect yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So these are all different considerations, and I think for us is best just to take complete shelter of Krishna and His holy names, and I hope that He will protect us whatever happens. Otherwise, we'll be always in fear and burdened. What might happen, what might not happen. So anyway, what can I say? Yeah,
Yeah, very good.
I even heard, one devotee who is sort of psychic. He was doing some reading, and then even for China, he said that that the communist regime is going to fall in China, and it will be completely new new social system. It will also be there. Now, when you look at the China, the communist government, the system, they look very strong, and they're controlling everything. But this can change in a matter of a very short time. So
Mm.
I'm quite sure that all sort of demoniac governments and systems, atheistic governments and systems, however strong they might look like, they will be finished sooner or later. So
Mm.
even Chinese communism and American liberalism and all these sort of atheistic systems, they have to end sooner
Yeah,
or
yeah.
later. So Krishna, might you just match them to destroy each others?
Yeah,
One
yeah, yeah.
demon, one demoniac government against another demoniac government. They kill each other,
Yeah.
and then we have a chance. So let's see. Yeah, not let us not too much speculate about the future. Better try to be Krishna conscious at the present moment, and whatever happens, we should be aware that it's the will of the Lord.
Yeah. Prabhu, could you tell us what astrology we can see you from the YouTube, or what information you read from, the source you read from?
Oh, the source. This was quite some time ago. I cannot just now remember few astrologers that I heard, and if I can find these predictions, but it was quite some couple of years ago at least, when I heard these predictions. Whether I can find it.
Oh,
Narasimha Rao was one of the astrologers who is well-known astrologer who was looking at it, and few others. I forgot the names, and but yeah, you don't need to be actually astrologer to see the situation in the present day world, how the wars are actually expanding, and
yeah.
you don't need to be astrologer to see that this is going to a bigger, greater conflict. How
Mm,
the NATO pact is waging the proxy war in Ukraine against the Russia, trying to provoke them more and more, and
mm,
eventually it will have to be direct conflict, and then direct conflict between the nuclear powers is very dangerous.
mm.
Anyway, if I come across, but I'm not anymore so much in astrology. Previously I was kind of a little bit studying astrology, and that at that time I was interested in these things, but then I gave up. Astrology is not going to save us at the time of that. So what is the use of all these
Yeah,
predictions? It
yeah.
might happen, might not happen. Uh, we just want to be Krishna conscious, and this is the only
Mm,
thing that can save us. Prabhupada, as somebody else said, astrology is not going to save you at the time of that. Only Krishna can save us.
yes, very good.
All right, so let us read a little bit more. Who was about to read? Subhadra Mataji was there.
Yes, Prabhuji. Dhyo tatsat uchipta vimana sankula Patakshma cha padabhipidita Shailasamutpetu hasa Tatejasa kakubo rijari. Airplanes were thrown into outer space and the upper planetary system by the hair on Narasimhadeva's head. Because of the pressure of the Lord's lotus feet, the earth appeared to slip from its position, and all the hills and mountains sprang up due to his intolerable force. Because of the Lord's bodily effulgence, both the sky and all directions diminished in their natural illumination. Purport. That there were airplanes flying in the sky long, long ago can be understood from this verse. Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken 5,000 years ago, and the statements of this verse prove that the symptoms of a very advanced civilization then existed, even in the upper planetary systems, as well as in the lower planetary systems. Modern scientists and philosophers foolishly explain that there was no civilization prior to 3,000 years ago, but the statement of this verse nullifies such whimsical judgments. The Vedic civilization existed millions and millions of years ago. It existed since the creation of this universe, and it includes arrangements all over the universe with all the modern amenities and even more. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. With airplanes disturbed by the upward movement of his main, the sky and the earth as well slip, remaining titled Lack of Augment on the past tense and the singular ending is poetic license. Prabhu, I don't understand this lack of augment and the past tense of the singular ending is poetic license.
And this is just a grammatical, Sanskrit explanation. It's nothing really significant.
Okay.
Augment on the past tense. Yeah. It's unless you understand the Sanskrit composition, you wouldn't be even able. So it doesn't really matter. What is interesting here is the airplanes in the sky, Vimana Sankula. So Vimanas were there, but who were in these Vimanas? There were demigods, Siddhas, Charanas, Gandharvas, Upadevas, and then Devas. I don't think that the humans were flying in Vimanas. But nowadays, although we spoke so badly about the modern civilization, one good thing with this godless and bad civilization is this technological advancement through which we can fly very easily from one country to another country. And we can now speak, although being in different countries, thousands of miles away. We can, read Bhagavatam together, being in India, being in China and UK. So this is the glory of modern day civilization, of glory of Kali Yuga, which is great if it's used in Krishna service. But of course, most of the population today is not using it in Krishna service. That's why it's condemned. Otherwise, airplanes and computers and internet, if it's used in Krishna service, it's a great thing. Prabhupada wanted everything to be used for Krishna. That's why when he was using a dictaphone, he was, glorifying how it's energy of Krishna and should be used in Krishna service. Probably Prabhupada also could not imagine internet in the 70s. Nobody could imagine internet, things like internet. And due to airplanes, yeah, we can easily fly here and there, come to India. How else if there were no, just imagine 500 years ago in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's times, people had to go from Bengal to Puri walking for 2 weeks or 1 month, or going to Vrindavan. Everything was on foot. And those who were outside of India, they had no chance to reach to India, holy places. There was some expeditions. I think it was Marco Polo from Europe. They were going with the caravans, with the camels and horses, and I don't know how many months it took them to come. And there were ships. Yeah, of course there were ships, but also there were long and dangerous journeys. There was something called silk path, through which the spices and other natural goods from India, they were transported to Europe by sea. But these journeys took very long time. Now you sit, you hop on the airplane, and the next day you're on the other end of the world, from America to India and to Australia. So there is some good thing also in this civilization, although it's just 1% maybe, and 99% is something that is degrading. And of course, because of this advancement of modern civilization, like airplanes, Krishna consciousness could spread all over the world. Otherwise, if Prabhupada didn't go to America, how would the Krishna consciousness spread all over the world? It would just stay in India, in a small piece of land, and those who are born outside of India, they would never have any chance to become devotees. But because of the advancement of modern civilization that Srila Prabhupada took advantage of, now we have devotees all over the world. And we are speaking now here. So we should also appreciate some good things about this so-called advanced civilization. But the bad elements definitely have to be removed from it. So yeah, I hope we will not go back exactly to the Stone Age uh, without any amenities, because we got so accustomed to the modern day facilities. So just ask yourself, can you imagine living without not only internet, but just without electricity, without cars, without modern hospitals, without all these things? Can we imagine living in a jungle, in a hut? It would be very difficult to adjust for us, because we got so much spoiled. Okay, if we were born in a such primitive situations, but because we got so much spoiled, uh, then it's very difficult to change unless we are forced. But just 20 years ago, for example, imagine we didn't have mobile phones. I remember what was the year in my first mobile phone, 2003 maybe. They were beginning of 2000s. They were starting to come out, the mobile phones, and they were kind of big, and they had the antenna. They look very primitive, uh, and you could only speak and maybe send SMS. There was no internet. But look at this now. You just take these gadgets, and immediately you speak with somebody in another part of the world, and immediately uh, you are informed what's happening in Australia and America, and you see the videos and the movies and this and that. It's quite amazing how much technology advanced in such a short span of time, but it has its price, of degradation of moral values. Okay, so this was about the vimanas, airplanes. What is the time? Okay, maybe a little more. Gunaraj Prabhu, one more.
Yes, Prabhu. Tatasabhayam upavishtam uttame nirpasane samvrata tejasam vibhum alakshita vairatam atyamarshanam prachandavatram nababaj kaschana. Translation. Manifesting a full effulgence and a fearsome countenance, Lord Narasimha being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. Purport. When the Lord sat on the throne of Hiranyakasipu, there was no one to protest. No enemy came forward on behalf of Hiranyakasipu to fight with the Lord. This means that his supremacy was immediately accepted by the demons. Another point is that although Hiranyakasipu treated the Lord as his bitterest enemy, he was the Lord's faithful servant in Vaikuntha, and therefore the Lord had no hesitation in sitting on the throne that Hiranyakashipu had so laboriously created. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura remarks in this connection that sometimes with great care and attention, great saintly persons and the rishis offer the Lord valuable seeds dedicated with Vedic mantras and tantras. But still the Lord does not sit upon those thrones. Hiranyakashipu, however, had formerly been Jaya, the doorkeeper at the Vaikuntha gate, and although he had fallen because of the curse of the Brahmanas and had gotten the nature of a demon, and although he had never offered anything to the Lord as Hiranyakashipu, the Lord is so affectionate to his devotee and servant that he nonetheless took pleasure in sitting on the throne that Hiranyakashipu had created. In this regard, it is to be understood that a devotee is fortunate in any condition of his life. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura comments, a king is defined as the one whose power is accepted by one he conquers. Thus he sat on the king's throne, as if showing who should be king. Or though his servant gatekeeper had been cursed, the Lord did not see him as giving up that identity. Thus, the Lord, who did not accept the offering of seed purified by mantras or other gifts offered by the sages, accepted the throne already used and not offered to him, because it belonged to his devotee, even though the devotee had been cursed and took on the nature of a demon. By this, the Lord showed to all persons the great fortune of his devotee. The Lord showed full light, Samvrita Tejasam. He had no opponents. Alakshita Bhairata. No devotee served the Lord with fan or other items out of fear.
So Hiranyakashipu, originally he was a devotee, he was a Jaya from Vaikuntha, gatekeeper of Vaikuntha. But to the curse of the four Kumaras, he got this demoniac nature. And he completely forgot his nature of a devotee. But Lord, he remembered. He remembered that this is not just a demon. It's actually my devotee who assumed this demoniac nature. So it is also mentioned by Rupa Goswami that in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, he explains that not every time a Lord Nrsimhadev appears, it's Lord appears once in Deva Brahma. Lord Nrsimhadev appears. Actually, it could be in. I don't remember now exactly. Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, they appear only once in the Lord Brahma, but Lord Nrsimhadev, he might appear more often. He might appear even in each of the Satya Yuga or Treta Yuga when he appears Satya Yuga. So it's not that every time Hiranyakashipu is a Jai, is a devotee from Vaikuntha. No, it happened only once. It happened only once. Why? Because it's not appropriate. Rupa Goswami explains it's not appropriate for residents of Vaikuntha like Jai and Vijay to fall every time. They came once because of the special circumstances, because of the Lord wanted to fight with and he couldn't find anybody else that is matching him. So that's why it was a special arrangement for Jaya and Vijay to come from Vaikuntha. Otherwise, from Vaikuntha, nobody falls. This is the the verdict of the Shastra. It's not possible to fall from the spiritual world, from the state of prema, unless there is a special arrangement. So they came actually by the special arrangement. So in other instances of Lord Nrsimha's coming, the demons, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, that Lord Nrsimha is fighting, they're just ordinary demons. They're not gatekeepers in Vaikuntha. And then the Lord kills them as he would kill any other demons. But in this specific, kalpa, and in this specific instance, we have a fortune that these demons were Jaya and Vijay from Vaikuntha in this cycle of the four yugas. So in the next cycle of the four yugas, they will not be. They'll be just ordinary demons, powerful demons, and Lord Nrsimha will kill them, but they will not be Jaya and Vijay. It happened this time. This is what Rupa Goswami explained. He explains in Bhagavatamrita. All right, so Shanti Rupa Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have a question that
Yes, please.
when Krishna killed the demons like Kamsa, Shishupal, so they were demoniac or they came to play as a demon?
Well, we have to see each and every demon separately to look who he is. In this case, we have a clear past life history of Hiranyakashipu, who, after being killed by Lord Nrsimhadev, was born as Ravana, and then again killed by Lord Ramachandra, and then born as Shishupal, and then eventually being killed by Krishna, and then he returned to his original
Yes, yes.
position as the gatekeeper of Vaikuntha. So in this case, we have clear track
Okay.
of that soul. In the other cases, the other demons, most of them, as I know, they're just demons. They're just demons, and Krishna kills them. It's not mentioned anywhere. I don't remember exactly any other demon that is actually Vaikunthavasi who came, apart from these two, Jaya and Vijay. So we can then conclude that since it's not mentioned in the Shastra that they were devotees from Vaikuntha, that means they're demons. They're just asuric,
Oh.
asuric living entities. But because Krishna killed them,
Mm.
they attain Vaikuntha. Because Krishna has special power that no other incarnations of him have. Uh,
Yes.
all
Yes.
demons killed by Krishna, they attain liberation, which is not the case with the demons killed by any other Vishnu forms. So Lord Nrsimhadev, he kills, he doesn't attain liberation. So Hiranyakashipu didn't attain liberation. He needed to be killed first by Lord Ramachandra and then eventually by Krishna to attain liberation.
Mhm.
But Krishna, whomever Krishna kills, he is guaranteed to attain liberation. So although they were demons, they were jivas, conditioned jivas with demoniac nature, but because Krishna killed them, they got purified. And then they became devotees, and that's how they returned back to God. That's how they attain the spiritual world. Because all jivas, whether they're demons or devotees externally, they are Nitya Krishna Das. They have a potential as servants of Krishna. This is the intrinsic nature of every soul. So whether the soul appears as a demon or a devotee is external. So even the demons, they can become devotees, and when Krishna kills them, they definitely become devotees. They get purified. Shishupal, completely got purified. from all his demoniac nature, and then he became the Jai again. He became a devotee again. But even if that particular demon killed by Krishna was not devotee previously, he will become a devotee just by being killed by Krishna.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So let's, what is the time? 37. So maybe one more.
Okay.
Okay, who
Yes. Yeah.
who is next?
Translation. That.
Oh.
Yeah. Nishamya. Nishamya lokatrayamastakacharam tamadidaityam harinahatam ridhe praharshabegotkalitaanamuhu prasunavarshairvavrishu surastriya. Translation. Hiranyakashipu had been exactly like a fever of meningitis in the head of the three worlds. Thus, when the wives of the demigods in the heavenly planets saw that the great demon had been killed by the personal hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, their faces blossomed in great joy. The wives of the demigods again and again showered flowers from heaven upon Lord Nrsimhadev like rain. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, saying that the demon, intolerable like a fear in the head, was killed by the Lord, they sprinkled flowers.
Okay, since no purple here, one more. Please.
Okay. Tada vimana valibhirnabhastalam didrikshatam sankulamaasanakinam suranakadundubhayo atha jagne tirene gandharvamukhyananriturjagustriya. Translation. At that time, the airplanes of the demigods who desired to see the activities of the Supreme Lord Narayana crowded the sky. The demigods began beating drums and kettle drums, and upon hearing them, the angelic woman began to dance, while the chiefs of the Gandharvas sang sweetly. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the sky became crowded with airplanes of the Devatas. Nakinam.
So it looks like it was very happy atmosphere after the Hiranyakashipu was killed. Oh, there's some background.
So, do we do another one?
Yeah. Okay, one more, and we can stop after this.
Tatropavrajya vibudha brahmendra girishadayah rishaya pitara siddha vidyadhara mahoraga manava prajanam patayo gandharvapsarakcharana yaksha kim purushastata vetala saha kinnara te Vishnu Parshada sarve Sunanda Kumudadaya Murdhni Baddhanjali Puta Asinam Tivrate Jasam Idire Narasar Shardulam Nati Durachara Prithak. Translation. My dear King Yudhishthira, the demigods then approached the Lord. They were headed by Lord Brahma, King Indra, and Lord Shiva, and included great saintly persons and the residents of Pitriloka, Siddhaloka, Vidyadharaloka, and the planet of the snakes. The Manus approached, and so did the chiefs of other planets. The angelic dancers approached, as did the Gandharvas, the Charanas, the Yakshas, the inhabitants of Kinnara Loka, the Vetalas, the inhabitants of Kimpurusha, and the personal servants of Vishnu like Sunanda and Kumuda. All of them came near the Lord, who glowed with intense light. They individually offered their obeisances and prayers, their hands folded at their heads. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the form Apsara Charana is poetic license.
Okay, I think we can stop here now. The Lord Brahma is going to speak, so we can continue that next class. It's a quite detailed description here, and we see the residents of different planets. These are Upadevas, the Pitraloka, Siddhaloka, Vidyadharaloka, Vasis, who all came. So where is this actually happening? Is it happening on Earth or in higher planetary systems? It's actually not mentioned exactly, but from the context, I would assume that it's happening somewhere higher, on some higher realm where this all happened. Although we have, Havalam here in India, in the South India, still, Lord could appear here and there at the same time. But the context was that the Hiranyakashipu conquered the heavenly planets, and he took over the palace of Indra, and he was living there, and Prahlad was also there. So it's or even if he didn't live in the Svarga, then he was living on a lower planetary systems where the Daityas generally live, where his palace previously was. In either case, it's not actually the Earth, the Bhumandala. So the Lord appeared there, and all these residents of these different planets, they gathered there to witness and glorify the Lord. Charanas, Gandharvas, Yakshas, Kimpurusha Loka, Sunanda, and Kumuda. Okay, so let us stop here. Is there any final comment or question? Otherwise, we'll continue next Wednesday, unless there is, I didn't look at the calendar, unless there is some major festival like, I don't know, Gordon Puja or something. It's a Kartik. What else is there? Deepavali is when? It's supposed to be soon also.
Nothing is approved. Gautam Puja is in second.
Oh, on the second, okay. So
Prabhupada's disappearance on 5th. So 6th, nothing is up.
Oh, okay, 6th, then it's okay. Then we'll have. Okay, thank you all very much. See you next Wednesday. Vancha kalpatarvasya kripa sindhu devacha patitana pavana Vaishnava Namo. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.